calling all musicians, bands, songwriters, and music producers. If you need somebody to review a contract, draft up an agreement, or just have your back in a negotiation, contact me, music attorney Randy Ojeda. I've negotiated record label deals, publishing and management deals, sync licensing deals, and so much more. So find out what my firm can do for your music career. Head to randyojedalaw.com and book a consultation now. Welcome to a most metal edition of Cigar City Radio. I'm your host, Randy Ojeda, and making the magic happen, Mr. Jason Solanas.
Take a wild guess what I had for dinner last night.
I think I'm about to find out.
You are about to find. It's nothing crazy.
No. I think I know exactly where this is going.
No, it's scrumptious. You think you know where this is going?
I know exactly.
No.
Going.
So I went to Publix.
Okay.
And I got a foot-long sub.
Okay.
It was buffalo chicken.
All right. I know where you're going with this.
It had provolone cheese and blue cheese.
Uh-huh.
And speaking of metal, I turned my bathroom into a
I thought there was going to be something happening in this room. Mind you, we're in a very small room right now.
Yeah. No, I wasn't going to fart into the mic.
Okay, all right. That's
yeah,
good.
don't worry.
Right, thanks for that.
You're welcome anytime. Our guest on this episode is Krista Shipperbottom, the vocalist from melodic death metal band Lutharo. Their sophomore album, Chasing Euphoria, will be released March 15th on Atomic Fire Records. The band is also embarking on a North American tour, the All Hell's Breaking Loose Across America tour, with 3 Florida stops: March 22nd in Cape Coral, March 23rd in Panama City, and May 4th in Pompano Beach. Find tickets and more info at lutharo.com.
So here it is, Lutharo. We are here with vocalist Krista Shipperbottom from the Canadian metal band Lutharo. Krista, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Living the dream, making the magic happen. You know how I do. Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah, for sure. So lots of exciting stuff going on in the Lutharo world right now. I know, there's a new single, Reaper's Call, new album coming out, Chasing Euphoria. But I want to start with talking about the All Hell's Breaking Loose Across America tour, which is quite a mouthful, but it's fun to say.
Right. It is.
You're going to be on tour with Raven, and what's cool about this is that you're actually the tour starts March 22nd in Cape Coral, Florida, which is we're based in Tampa, Florida, so about 2 hours away, and then it ends May 4th back in Florida in Pompano Beach.
Yeah.
But you basically go across the entire country and even back into Canada, and then you come back. So that's exciting. I mean, is this the longest tour that the band's been on?
Yeah, it will be now. I mean, the Ailstorm tour was a month long, and then we came back for a day and then went off to Germany. So I mean,
oh wow,
they were 2 different tours, but they were about the same length-ish. But this is the longest full tour in like one go.
Just like a straight run,
Mm-hmm.
But you do go back home for a little bit, right? Like I know you're going to be in Toronto at least on tour, or
Yeah. So I mean, we start off basically, I guess, in Hamilton, really, which is our hometown. And we're doing our CD release show then, and then
Cool.
somewhere in the middle we hit Toronto. But I mean, it's only for a night, so maybe if we're lucky, we can get some laundry done or like a shower or something.
Right. It's a nice little tease of home life,
Right? Yeah, my cats are gonna hate me. I don't even know if I want to go in the house.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you gotta
be upset.
Yeah. Oh man, poor cats. They're gonna have to survive without you for a while, huh?
I know. I don't know how they're gonna do it. They if they could crawl into my skin, they would.
Yeah. I'm sure they would love that. They would love that. Yeah. But that's super exciting. Is it your first time touring in Florida? Like coming here to the state?
No, we went to Florida for a couple of dates on the Elstrom tour.
Oh, okay.
We were there. Yeah. So that was fun. That was, I think, one of the first dates. It was near the beginning of the tour. So yeah, it was nice. It was nice to be warm.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and you're coming at a good time. Like it's, in March,
Hmm.
it's very it's still kind of cool. But it's very it's probably much warmer than things are in Canada. So
Oh yeah, we've had a pretty warm winter so far, knock on wood. Like it
yeah.
hasn't been too bad, but I don't know. It could turn around and have, I don't know, snowstorms in March for all we know. It's so
Yeah.
unpredictable. So
Oh,
yeah.
I know how that goes. I went to law school in Chicago and lived there for a few years, so I know.
Ah.
I've experienced winter, even though I'm a true, warm-blooded Floridian at heart.
Yeah,
So,
it's not fun.
no, no, I don't recommend it on anybody. I would much prefer warm weather.
Me
So
too.
although come talk to me in August and maybe I'll think a little bit differently when it's like 100 degrees outside and you know.
That is true, and there's like no escape.
No, no, none whatsoever. So you're from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. That's correct.
Hmm. Yes.
What's the scene like there? Are there other metal bands? Is it, I know we actually our first ever guest on the podcast, this was years and years ago, was the band Junior Boys, and they're from Hamilton,
Okay.
Ontario.
Oh,
But they're
nice.
like in the electronic scene, so it's very different from, the metal world, I can imagine.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a really big hardcore scene here.
Hmm.
Um, and I feel like things have really changed because of the pandemic. Like there was a lot of bands that kind of dropped out of the scene and then new ones came in and took their place. So I feel like all the bands that we played with before the pandemic don't exist anymore or aren't doing as much anymore. And now
Hmm.
it's like we're playing with all new bands.
Oh,
So
wow.
I mean, the scene still exists. It's just like, whoa, where do they come from? All of a sudden, it's like not familiar faces anymore, which is strange, but exciting that it's still happening. There's still new bands and young people still making music. You know?
Yeah, no, I think the pandemic was kind of the great equalizer, so a lot of people, like you said,
Yes.
a lot of people stopped playing and stopped,
Hmm.
doing creative endeavors, which is unfortunate, but in its wake, there's a lot more, younger, newer bands that are vying for those spots, you know.
For
Yeah.
sure. Because I mean, when we first entered the scene, we were like 21, I think, and now we're 30. So
Wow.
I mean, like, yeah.
So you've been
Yeah,
doing
we
this
were
for a
20,
long time.
21. Yes. Yeah. So
That's
we're
awesome.
trying.
That's
I
awesome.
feel like we like didn't hit the map until like maybe like our mid 20s though, I'd say. Because
Yeah.
like a lot of that those younger years um were children, so you can
Yeah.
understand
You were just having a good
how
time,
it
right?
sounded.
Yeah.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the band's been independent for most of that run, right? But I know you recently signed to
Hmm.
Atomic Fire Records. They're putting out the album Chasing Euphoria on March
Hmm.
15th. And what was it like signing to a record label for the first time?
Pretty crazy because it's something we've wanted for a long time. And something we tried for years to get. So I mean, we kind of put feelers out for the new album for a while and for like many different labels and stuff. And like when they messaged us, we were just like, "Are we reading this right? Is this spam? Like,
Yeah.
is this for real?" So it was really exciting. Just to get our music on like a bigger platform is huge for us.
Yeah. No, and to not have to do all the work yourself, I'd imagine is nice.
It's still a lot of work.
Yeah, of
A
course, of
lot, a
course.
lot of
I'm
work.
not trying to downplay it. It's,
Yeah,
being in a band is a ton of work, but having a, support structure with a label, I'm sure is much nicer than, you know,
for
DIYing
sure.
everything.
Yeah, exactly. And having lots of different connections all of a sudden too, you know,
Yeah.
from like just being an independent band. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the album Chasing Euphoria. It comes out
Mhm.
like I said, March 15th on Atomic Fire Records. New single is called Reaper's Call, but there's been a couple videos put out from the record now, I think. So um, this is your second album. What can the fans expect from this one?
Um, it's kind of, I mean, we've always been a band that um our genre is kind of hard to place. People don't
Yeah,
really know what umbrella to put us under.
yeah.
Um, and I feel like High Wraith had a lot of that, but this album is even worse for it.
Oh no.
Because it's like it's very all over the place, but it works so well together. Like it flows so nicely. But yeah, there's a lot of experimenting. I know for myself, I experimented with a lot of different vocal techniques and textures and whatnot. And we put a lot of um, attention into detail where I feel like other albums we didn't know as much. So
Mhm.
we kind of shied away from it, or we just didn't know that it existed to put detail where some things needed to be. So yeah, there's a lot of detail. It's very dynamic. It's very emotional, very energetic too.
Awesome.
And yeah.
You touched on the vocals, and I think one of the things that impresses me about Lutharo is your vocal range. You're able to go from like a guttural growl to like a Rob Halford like falsetto, seemingly instantly.
Thank you.
So that's
Mhm.
super impressive.
Thank you.
Is that something you've kind of always been able to do, or are you feeling like now that you're on album two, you're able to really put that out there?
I think it's something I've always played around with, but it's something that I've gotten better at. I feel like because I used to false chord scream,
Mm,
and now I fry scream, which has, for whatever reason, made my falsetto singing so much better. I
yeah.
don't know if it's like I've got more like umph in like my gut from it, like it's more powerful, or the placement has really helped me. But I feel like because I have that balance now, like those things are just getting better and better. Whereas before I would use it kind of sparingly because I'd be like, okay, I don't want to like kill myself. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I don't want to bite off more than I can chew, but with this it feels more effortless. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So go back to those different types of screaming styles.
Mhm.
What exactly are you talking about there, just so the listeners know?
So with a false chord scream, it's more like you got that like Cookie Monster kind of sound. It's like a rush of air.
Yeah. The
So you
more
take like
traditional,
in
the more traditional death metal
exactly.
sound. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's more of a guttural, lower sound, and you can't usually hold a note as long. It's just more of like a push of air. So you listen to
Mm,
like Angela Gasso or Johan from Amon Amarth. They both use that style of growl. And then with your fry scream, it's more of like you're letting air go slowly, and the placement is almost like higher up in your sinuses, and it's like um more of like a resonance in like your sinuses and everything, and it's a lot quieter. So like a fry scream is basically the volume of like my speaking voice almost, but once it hits the microphone it sounds huge because of the frequencies it gives off.
right.
um yeah.
That's probably better for your voice in the long run, right?
For
If you
sure. Like, I mean, um, for like false chord screaming, it can also be. I found it really tiring for myself, because of what I was doing vocally, like mixed in with it. I think people who are just doing false chord screaming, it's a lot easier. Um, but yeah, and also the fact that with false chord, you're not actually using your true vocal cords. So that's something that is a plus about false chord screaming, is you're just blowing the vocal cords open in a sense, and your tissues are flapping around. But yeah, fry screaming can be dangerous because you are using your true vocal cords. And if you're not breathing properly, you're going to really mess it up. So yeah, sorry, I could go on with this topic forever.
I
I
I
love
I would love
it.
you to. I think I
Yeah.
think it's fascinating,
Yeah.
yeah, it's something that most singers don't have to think about is,
Mhm.
how exactly how, these screams are affecting their vocal cords and, what they're
For
doing. Because I mean,
sure.
you're performing night in and night out. It's got to be straining.
For sure. I mean, if you're doing it properly, it isn't. The one thing I will say is the lack of sleep is what gets you on tour,
Sure.
and talking at venues, talking loudly, because like there's music blaring over the PA and everything the whole time. So you're yelling at like having a conversation. So that is what messes me up the most, is that and lack of sleep. Because I mean, you don't account for that.
No, there's nothing you can do about lack of sleep. That's just, it's
Yeah.
par for the course when you're on the road. So the single Reaper's Call, the music video has you guys in kind of like a dungeon like setting, if you will,
Mhm.
performing the track. How did the video come together? What was the concept behind it?
So we actually heard from a friend because we seen these photos that were taken of our friends like during a photo shoot, and we are like, oh my god, that place looks really cool. And it's basically just like a big warehouse that's not really being used for anything but like photo purposes or like music videos. So it's
Mm,
like a big open warehouse space, but when you go downstairs is where that like dungeon kind of look is. It's all like stone and everything, and it's got like tunnels, which is where I'm walking through in some of the scenes, which
right.
a funny thing about that is the fact that I'm holding a wine bottle, and those tunnels used to be used back in the day during prohibition to smuggle alcohol, which we had no idea about
Oh, wow.
until it was just like a funny
Yeah.
coincidence. But yeah, so we found that place and we're like, okay, this is perfect. We want something that looks pretty like dark and gloomy and stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, the tunnels were an added plus, really.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, and I noticed you had the wine
Mhm.
bottle with you, so I didn't know if that was I guess that wasn't even a callback to the prohibition stuff. It was just a funny coincidence.
No, it was like just like given like the subject matter of the song, it made sense, but it was just hilarious that that kind of like went hand in hand with what it was previously used for.
Yeah. What are the odds of that?
Right?
So I have to ask.
Mm.
I don't know if I didn't see this anywhere else, but the band name Lutharo, is
Hmm.
that is that like a Tolkien thing? Is a
Yes, it's an Elvish word for enchanter or the enchanter.
The Enchanter. Okay. I
Yeah.
knew I knew it was something Tolkien-esque. It just has that sound. I think
Yes.
and I think the last
Yep.
album was a Tolkien reference too, right? Or am I wrong on that?
High right? No.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what. I feel like it's a Welsh word or something like that. I
Mm,
can't fully remember. Um, but yeah, that like that word I just fell in love with. I seen it somewhere on the internet and I was like, this is so cool because it's such a hard thing to define because it's more of a feeling than an actual word. I don't know how to explain it. Like you have to like kind of tap into your senses to understand it, and that's what I really loved about it.
how did the word Luthero come into play? Is it just, you know,
Definitely from Lord of the Rings.
yeah, yeah.
Because yeah, we love Lord of the Rings and we're like, it would be cool to have like an Elvish word. And then I went online and looked through like the Elvish dictionary and everything, and then just kind of seeing something that popped out to us.
And it means the enchanter. So are you
Yes.
the enchanter? Is the band
We're the
enchanting?
enchanters.
You're the enchanters. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. I guess so. Like I mean like bands are kind of doing that. They're enchanting people with like their art or their music or whatever they choose to do in their performance, right? So
Yeah. I didn't really want to go here, but I definitely think it's a conversation worth having. But there's not a lot of women fronted metal bands, so
Mhm.
what is it like, being a woman in a metal band in this scene? Like, I know things have probably changed over the last few years, but how are are
For
people
sure.
are people treating you okay? That's what I'm asking.
Are you okay, girl?
Yeah.
um yeah, I mean it definitely has gotten better over the years. Like there has been so many years where people don't even know that I'm in the band. They're just like thinking I'm doing merch or like
Right.
they won't give me the the stamp to get into the venue or whatever, because they think that I'm like a girlfriend or whatever, so there's always been that. There's also people who like to think that we're a gimmick because we have a girl vocalist. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
right.
she couldn't possibly be talented, she's just there to look good. um
Awful.
so I mean, you run into that, and people think that yes, because you're a woman, you're like leading with your sexuality or something to get somewhere in the industry, where it's totally not that. Like, if they actually go back and listen to the things that these females are doing, how they're performing, and how much work it takes, it's like
Yeah.
you have no idea, man.
Yeah. It's like you got to work twice as hard for half as much recognition,
100%. Yep, it's so true. Just to like earn that respect. It sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah. But do you find, because I feel like there's more like women fronted bands like sort of popping up nowadays. Like, so are you
For
seeing that when
sure.
you're on the road, and that there's, that's more
Yeah.
prevalent?
Yeah, like I mean, it still feels like it's very rare that we do play with other bands with female members, even though yeah, there is a lot more popping up everywhere, but yeah, it just seems like it's still very male dominated. I don't know. But
Yeah.
when I get
Especially,
the chance to play with another female, I'm like all over it. I'm like, hell yeah, like
yeah.
let's share tips and everything. Like when we played with Unleash the Archers, um
Great band.
Brittany, yeah, so good. I was doing my warm-ups and Brittany was just like, "Oh, like try this and this instead. You'll hit the note this way better." And I was like, "Thank you."
Yeah.
I was like, "I appreciate that." And I'm just like, coming from her too, I'm just like, "Oh." Yeah, she
That's,
was the
yeah.
sweetest. Yeah,
Wow,
that
that's
was
great.
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, because metal, like it is kind of a boys club. I mean, or at least it
Hmm.
feels that way.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see, the scene sort of expanding into just other genders and different perspectives. And
Like not only like girls just like being more popular in metal, but like just seen as like an even like an equal person.
yeah, like you said,
You know what
not
I
not a
mean?
gimmick, not
Yes,
not a marketing tool, but just like you're just part of the band, just like anybody else.
exactly. And they look past all of the looks and just go straight to the talent, which is nice.
Yeah. I always found that super unfair, because, guys can just like throw on whatever black t-shirt and
It's so
jeans and
true.
get on stage and do
Yeah.
whatever. But like, I feel like you probably
Hmm.
have to spend so much time just getting ready for the show because there's an expectation that,
Hmm.
you have to look a certain way.
For sure. And I mean, in my younger years, as a band, I was really afraid to dress very feminine too, because I didn't want to be perceived as like that gimmicky girl, the sexy female vocalist, blah, blah, blah. I didn't want to be
Hmm.
that because I wanted people to respect me, which is so crappy to
Yeah.
think of now. Now, like, I just wear whatever makes me feel good. And I'm just like, if people are going to sexualize me, they're going to do it. They
Yeah.
can do it whether I'm wearing baggy pants and a baggy shirt or like something like a tight suit or whatever.
Right.
They're going to say whatever they want. And now I'm just kind of like, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever makes me feel good.
Yeah. Well, that's as metal as it gets. Like, there's nothing more metal than not giving a fuck,
That's
you know?
exactly. That's
So,
exactly what metal is. It's so true. Very true.
have you had like really bad encounters with people on the road or anything like that?
There's been some interesting people. Like I feel like every girl in a band gets some interesting people, some interesting people in their DMs and
Oh,
stuff, and
I can't
at the
imagine.
merch table and everything. But I mean, I just do my best to kind of fluff it off, really. Be
Yeah.
nice, you know what I mean? But not too nice because you don't want any stalkers, I guess. And the guys are
Yeah.
really good for looking out for me too. So like I can hold my own, but they're really good with
Yeah.
like especially like at night and stuff. There's a lot of places we play that have been pretty sketchy, and the guys are like, "Yeah, we're gonna walk with you to these places."
Yeah.
you know, so
Yeah.
they're really good for that.
Again, so unfair that you have to think that way, but I guess that's the
Hmm.
reality of being a woman, you know?
Yeah, in
Yeah.
any aspect of life, really, not just in metal, and just like any part of life, really. Any woman feels that way. So it
Yeah.
sucks, but it's the world we live in.
Yeah, yeah. This is probably going to embarrass my wife talking about this, but we just got a new car, and she was telling me that she doesn't want to have to ruffle through her purse to
Hmm.
find her keys like late at night if she's trying to get into the car. Like she wants to be able to just tap it and open the door, you know.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like,
That.
I never even thought about that. Like that's not a
Hmm.
thought that crossed my mind. I just, you know, I just figured
Yep.
you just reach in your pocket or whatever and grab your keys, but most of her clothes don't have pockets, so it's like,
Hmm.
you know, you got
Yes,
to put it
that
in your
too.
purse and then yeah, that can be a
Yes.
dangerous situation if you're fumbling through your purse looking for keys and, you know, there's somebody there. That's just terrifying.
100%. That, and also looking in the back seats of your car too to make sure there's no one in there already. Like there's
I
just
yeah,
so many scenarios.
I'm always looking out for clowns though. Like I, you know,
Yeah.
making sure there's
Oh
no clown
God.
in the back seat of my car, you know, or checking behind
Terrifying.
the shower curtain to make sure there's nobody hiding
Oh
in
God.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yikes.
So just going back to the music a little bit, but so you said your sound is kind of hard to pin down, and that's probably really frustrating for metalheads because metalheads love to
Yes.
be hyper specific about the genre, you know?
Yes, they
So
do.
so what would you describe your sound as? Like what do you call it?
We joke around and we call it custom metal because it's
Custom
like,
metal. Okay.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a custom piece of like everything. You got
Okay.
like multiple like metal genres going on, but then you also have influences from like blues. I have influence from like R&B and some pop and stuff too thrown in
Yeah.
with the metal. Like there's so many of my choruses that are like really upbeat and almost poppy because they're
Yeah.
really like catchy and like, yeah, like dancey almost,
Sure.
you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, I don't really know. It's kind of hard to besides custom metal or the lost and found bin, I like to call it too.
Okay.
Um
Yeah. I could see that.
that's a, yeah,
Yeah.
just kind of a little bit of everything
Yeah.
sprinkled in. Yeah.
Because when I first heard about the band, it was described to me as melodic death metal, you know, which I
Hmm.
think is just kind of not telling the full story. You know, I mean, I guess it could be melodic death metal because there's melody and there's death metal, but
Yeah.
that's kind of where it stops. You know, like I wouldn't put you in the same bin as other like mellow death bands. You know.
For sure. Yeah, like it's a big portion of it, but then yeah, there's so much more to it too. Like even like a lot of people will even throw us under like power metal, like
Oh,
that
sure. Yeah,
umbrella
yeah.
too. And I'm just like, but not quite.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't hear any songs about dragons or, you know, the Night
Yeah,
Riders of
right.
Doom or anything. So I don't know if it'd necessarily fall under power metal either, but yeah.
Nah, that would be earlier in our career, probably. Before I
Yeah,
started screaming, it was more power metal-esque, but now not so
right
much.
on. And has what about the lyrics and the lyrical themes? Like is it, you know, you it was early on was it more power metal and now it's, you know, it is what it is.
Yes. Yeah, earlier on, even like before Beast, it was more like majestic and magical and fairy tale-esque, I guess. And now it's like me just writing about my life and my feelings, basically.
Yeah.
Because like if I can't connect to it, then I can't perform in a way that like actually comes across as like genuine. You know,
Oh,
like I
that's true.
can't go up there and sing something that I don't relate to.
Yeah, and that again is very unique for metal bands. I mean, because you do have a lot of bands that sing about, you know, Satan or, you know,
Hmm.
whatever, you know, whatever metal thing you want to sing about, you know, the Northern Darkness or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're actually singing about your real life experiences, which I think is
Hmm.
pretty cool and pretty unique. You know, does that
Thank you.
is it ever difficult to perform some of the songs because it's so personal?
100%. And writing, I feel like writing them is sometimes even more difficult because I have to put myself back in that place once again. And it's like I have to relive whatever trauma I had already gone through. But it is nice in a way because it's therapeutic. It's almost like I'm like understanding more about how I'm feeling because I'll go into a song thinking it's about one thing and then come out of it and be like, oh, that's what I was writing about. That's how I feel about this
Ah,
situation. With Lost in a Soul, I was in such denial about that song being about me. And
mm,
then we were on the Ailstorm tour and I was performing it. And then the one night it clicked and I was like, this song is about me. This
wow.
is totally about me.
It took just performing it again and again to come to that realization, huh?
Yep. Sometimes it just clicks. Like even writing Ruthless Bloodline, I didn't really realize the core of like what I was writing about until I really dug deep into it and realized that it's about like neurodivergency.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. Yeah. So even like listening back to that and certain lyrics in that song, I just laugh because I'm like, how did I just not know? I was in
Yeah.
such a denial. Even like down to the chorus is talking about masking in situations. And I literally say the word mask in it. And like it's yeah, it's just very yeah, it's funny that I don't realize it until that point.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool. You're just kind of pouring your heart into the lyrics and, you know,
Hmm.
realizing stuff about yourself later on. That's impressive.
For sure. Sometimes it's jarring, but for the most part it's nice. It's therapeutic.
Yeah. I bet. I bet. It sounds like it'd be cathartic in some ways. Um,
Yeah, and like
yeah.
it's kind of like putting a mirror at I don't know, your darkest things, the things you hate about yourself, you know, and just like putting it on a spotlight, especially with like all of Chasing Euphoria is what I did there was like everything that I was struggling with and everything that I hated about myself, I decided to like look dead in the face and be like, I'm gonna write about this finally. I'm
That's
done ignoring it.
that takes a lot of courage and bravery to do
Yes.
something like that.
And
Yeah.
a lot of crying. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of that too. Yeah.
Yes.
What can you tell us about the tour and the live show? Like, what can fans expect when they see you live?
Expect a lot of energy, um, a lot of interaction, a lot of yeah, we are a really energetic band on stage and we like to goof around. Like I know the songs are really serious, but we're basically anything but on stage.
Great.
We're
Yeah.
smiling and laughing and getting involved with people and jumping around. So yeah, it's a fun time. It's like a party. And then we'll always be at merch too.
Okay.
So either before the set or after the set, we'll always be there to hang out with everybody and meet everybody. So unless we're in the shower or eating food for the first time that day.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Basically.
gotta eat the food and gotta
Exactly.
get the showers in, especially for the other members of the band that gotta be
Yes.
in the van with you for who knows how long. So
Exactly.
that's super important when you're on tour to shower. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doesn't always happen, but it's important.
Yeah. It's when you can get it, it's definitely important. Yeah.
Yeah.
So very cool. I like that. I like that there's fun involved. Again, like this is
Mhm.
unique for metal. I think sometimes metal bands take themselves a little too seriously. So, um, to have serious music but to have fun with it. I mean, nobody wants to go to a show and just stand. I mean, maybe some metalheads do. They want to stand there with their arms crossed and judge you. But I think
Mhm.
people really want to go to a show and take their mind off the world and have a great experience. So,
For
sounds like
sure.
yeah.
That's what we're there for. That's what the album's about too, you know?
Yeah,
Being in
chasing
the moment.
euphoria. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Chasing what makes you feel alive and stuff, right? And that's what concerts do. They make you feel alive and in the moment.
right on. Well, the album comes out March 15th on Atomic Fire Records. The tour starts March 22nd in Cape Coral. Like I said, just a couple hours away from Tampa, where we're recording this now. Krista, what else? What else can you tell us? What can you
I
leave us with?
think I think like we covered basically everything. Just yeah, just a big thank you to everybody who's listening. Thank you for supporting us and um I hope you like the new album.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure people will. So where can people find you online? Where can they find the band? If they want to connect with you or, hopefully not stalk you, but be a fan. Where would they find you?
um, we're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify. If you really want to connect with us on a more personal level, we do have a Patreon and we do have Discord as well. So those two places will be like a more intimate setting with us.
Shout out! I'll definitely join the Discord. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm in so many Discords that my Discord app is like nuts. But I will join that and participate
Hell
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Sounds good.
I'll see you in the Discord then.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you being on the show, and hopefully maybe we'll see you in Cape Coral. Who knows? And
For
next
sure.
tour, tell your agent you got to come to Tampa. You have to.
Yes. Yes. You missed us on Ailstorm. That's where we went.
Oh man, I know.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I wasn't hip then, but I'm hip now.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely
Yes.
not
That's what
gonna.
matters.
Yeah, definitely won't miss it next time. So next time you come through, we'll have you actually come into the studio and we'll do a follow up.
Hell yeah. Sounds good.
Cool. All right. Right on. Well,
All right.
thanks so much.
Thank you.
You pronounce it Lutharo.